Hey there, welcome to the DFS Build NBA Edition. I'm Kevin Roberts from Taylor Smith, getting ready to go over this DraftKings main slate. Hopefully to help you win some money and not play another Jaren Jackson Jr. / Tyrese Maxey / Kyrie Irving. Like, what the hell was last night, man? I had some really good lineups completely burned by injuries. I'm sure I was not alone because 69% of the field in the contest I was in had Jaren Jackson Jr. It was rough out there. But we did have a nice set of wins in Discord, so come on in and join the Discord. The chat in there is free, and you can get access to all of our Patreon stuff too. So come and check that out. And if anything we do here helps you out, smash the like button and subscribe to the channel. What we do here is go position by position, looking at our favorite plays of the slate, and just try to look at everything, whether it be ownership, matchups, or projections, and try to add a little bit of nuance to the building process. All right, so up top, Damian Lillard actually comes in with the best projection. 9K looks like a much better play compared to Trae Young, who's $1,000 more. But at the same time, he's in that same game, which looks like a really good DFS environment with the Hawks and Bucks seemingly being the best game to target right now if you wanted to stack. So let's start with Dame, 9K. I certainly don't have a problem with Dame. I think I prefer to pay for Giannis, even though he's 2,000 more. And Dame has not really exhibited a consistent ceiling. But if you were going to pay for Dame, this might be the day to do it. What are you thinking?
I'm not really into it. Like, I understand the game environment is a good one, but he's going to be the one saddled with Dyson Daniels, I assume, in this matchup, which is not ideal. We have Donovan Mitchell for 300 less. There's Amen Thompson. Tyrese Halliburton's rounded into form. De'Aaron Fox still without Wemby. Prices come down. It's an okay enough price tag on him. So there's a lot at point guard, as there always is. Even Josh Giddey, like, the prices come up on him. If he's in, he's still playable. Trae Young up to 10K. So, Lillard's okay. I think I agree. I'd rather pay for Giannis if I'm paying for a buck. I'm sure the field will agree, but I don't know. I'm not really into Dame on the slate.
No, I agree. Like I said, he's a fine play. He projects really well. Best projection amongst point guards right now, and the game environment is really great. So if you want to play Dame at 16 to probably 25% ownership at the high point, I don't have a problem with it. I just don't really like it either. I also don't really like paying 10K for Trae Young. It's also a good spot for him as far as game environment goes. I swear every time I play Trae Young, though, he gets anywhere from 28 to 33, apparently. Like, that's all he does for me. So I definitely think he's going to get 60 plus today. I don't like him that much today because he's 10K. I'd rather just go up and get Giannis. And like you said, there's a lot of options below him. Are you interested in paying for Trae at no ownership?
Not really on a back-to-back. I'm not super excited about that. I just think there are better ways to use your funds. 10K is pretty steep.
Yeah.
It's probably around his ceiling. So, if he's going to be unowned, then yeah, I understand it. The matchup is a good one, but I'd rather just pay for something else.
Yeah, and like you said already, Donovan Mitchell looks really good, coming in with a third best projection. No Evan Mobley. He gets a boost, as you would expect. 8.7K seems a little bit cheap with that in mind. Plus, he gets the Bulls, so I have no issue with Donovan Mitchell. The only issue really is that Darius Garland looks about as good and is way cheaper at 7.5K. So if I'm going to pay for a Cavs guy up top, I think it's going to be Garland for me. And then, of course, you have the value with Ty Jerome at 5.1K. Like, it's not really... I think I'd feel a little bit better about paying for the Ty Jerome value if it was Mitchell or Garland that was out, because then he's getting all the extra guard minutes too. Just in addition to coming off the bench. With the being Mobley, I still think he gets a boost and he's going to get a good usage rate coming off the bench there. But I don't know. Is that do you think that's something to be worried about? Or is that kind of galaxy braining it?
You're talking about Jerome?
Yeah.
I'm not worried about it. Like, they're playing the Bulls, so it's about as good of a matchup as you can get. He gets a ton of usage anyway off the bench. The minutes can be pretty secure. Even if he gets like 24, he's still clearly capable of giving you a ceiling at that price point. So I think we're going to have better value by the time lock rolls around. But as of now, he looks really good and kind of like someone to not avoid. We'll see what happens, though. Like, there are quite a few Q tags. We've mentioned the Bulls. There's Karl Anthony Towns. There's Paul George. Maxey's out. Steph Curry's questionable. All sorts of stuff.
Yeah, I'm pretty.
Well, so we'll see what happens.
I'm pretty open to a lot of the other things I'm seeing here. Like Curry is totally fine. Brunson's a good price at 8.K. De'Aaron Fox is a little bit too cheap at 8.2. Don't really love playing the slow Nets, but I mean, nobody's really beyond De'Aaron Fox. He looks fine. He's been bad lately, but I don't really care that much about that. Don't really want to target guys against the Magic, but Scotty Barnes at 8K flat, like that feels cheap. Like I don't mind doing that in tournaments. Not a guy I'm really going out of my way to get, just noting that that is a very cheap price tag for him. Podziemski at 5.9 looks like a smash play if Steph is out. He's totally fine at that price, even if Steph is in. And then, of course, we have to talk about the Philly guys. Like with no Maxey and possibly several other bodies being out for the Sixers, we're looking at Jeff Dowden and also possibly Jared Butler. So what are your thoughts there?
Yeah, it's tough to say because Butler started, I think, the last time Maxey was out, but Doughton was playing ahead of him last night. So I assume Butler's not going to start. And if they do go with a point guard in Maxey's spot, it would probably be Doughton. Butler's the way better per minute guy. So in a tournament, I could see getting to him off the bench at 3-1. He should be able to pay that off even if he's not starting. But Doughton's probably your safer play, maybe someone you'd play in like a cash format for 3-2. He'd be okay in tournaments. I just don't really trust Doughton, especially into ownership in a bad matchup against Philly or against Minnesota. So it's not comfortable. I think I prefer Butler, all things considered, but he's by no means a safe play if he's not starting.
Yeah, I do tend to lean towards whoever gets to start there, but they're both very, very cheap. So that is actually a pretty good spot where you can go away from the ownership and just hope it goes your way. Because even if, I mean, Doughton could get 30 minutes and still not completely nuke, right? We know that's possible. So if that's possible, then we can also look at Jared Butler at 3.2K, like same price basically. And hopefully he would nuke, obviously. Don't know if there's a whole lot else there elsewhere to look at a point guard. Is there any other value? Oh, yeah, I guess there's AJ Green. We can look at the Bucks guys just because we know Kuz is questionable. And who's already out for them?
Portis.
Yeah, Portis. Oh, yeah, we knew Portis was out. I feel like there's somebody else too.
Connaughton, doesn't matter.
Okay, yeah, well, that doesn't matter either. Well, if Kuz is out, it is a big deal. So AJ Green, I think, is okay at 3.5K. Not a guy I really want to go to. I think I'd rather look to Gary Trent, who we'll talk about in a little bit. With that in mind, though,
Kuz was doubtful, and then he was upgraded to questionable. So I feel like he's more likely to play than not. But yeah.
Okay, well, always fun to see that. Stephon Castle is actually, I think, questionable. Yeah, he is with a thumb issue. So if he is available, well, never mind then. All right, so then that last game, this is a rare night where I'm not being lured into the hammer game. I don't really feel compelled to play Nets or Spurs. But are there any other point guards that you want to talk about before we move
on? Cole Anthony's questionable, so if he's out, I guess you can look at Anthony Black. I think Thompson is a really good tournament play against Indiana. Pace-up spot. Indiana has the fourth most points in the paint per game. Fred Van Vliet is out. So going to have the ball in his hands a ton, still playing around 40 minutes a game. I think he's an awesome tournament play. And then, Brunson, if Cat is out, is fine. Andrew Nembhard with Mathurin out played 37 minutes in the last game. He's under 5K. The matchup's brutal against Houston, but given the minutes, I think he's okay enough. And that kind of does it. It's not a great slate, to be honest, on DK.
No, this is why I'm starting out and probably locked into just paying for Giannis, because there's just not anybody. Point guard's supposed to be the position that is just full of riches here, and it's just it's okay. There's a few good plays, but it's not usual where we're really excited about it. I like the Amen call 8.5K. I think price and the fact that he wasn't in the Houston's last game, I think people are going to stay away from him. Plus, there are still options. And guys like Brunson and Spida in particular are going to grade out better than him technically. So I think that is a pretty cool tourney play for sure. I think that's it at point guard. All right, moving over to shooting guard. Anthony Edwards is actually one of my favorite plays of the slate. So Julius is back. It did nothing to stop Anthony Edwards. He went nuts in his last game, 67 fantasy points. He's going to continue to get monster minutes. He's going to have a high usage rate. And Julius is actually questionable for this game. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know. Last time I saw he's questionable. I don't really care. If he's in, it's not really going to move the needle that much. The only risk here would be Philly is down all these guys and they suck in general, and it's in Minnesota, so perhaps the game blows out. But if we get a full complement of minutes for Anthony Edwards, I love him up top at 9.3, especially since we know Donovan Mitchell is going to carry ownership. So it just naturally, Edwards is probably going to be owned a little bit less.
Yeah, he's probably my favorite play overall here as well. Like, he's still too cheap. I feel like he should be 10K plus given what he's doing, and he's still 9-3 against a shorthanded Philly team. So don't mind that at all. I am concerned about the blowout, but as we saw last night with Shea, just because a game looks like it'll blow out doesn't mean it will. And the good thing is Minnesota, if the game does blow out, will probably be the winning team. So he should still be okay, even in that situation. So I don't mind it at all. Mitchell, great play. Hard to get away from, honestly, at 8-7 against Chicago without Mobley. Other than that, kind of thins out pretty quickly. I don't mind Dyson Daniels again. The minute should be safe with Lillard on the other side of the matchup. 7K is fine. Karis LeVert, Niang is in, which is not ideal, but LeVert, he's shown ceiling on these price tags. Again, last night, he's still only 5'2" point guard or shooting guard, small forward. So that's okay. Oubre is, I think, probable with all these other Sixers questionable or out. So he should get tons of minutes. I don't love the price or the spot or the potential for Philly to get nuked, but the minute should be okay enough. So I think he's still playable.
Yeah, I'm a little bit worried about Oubre. It's really not a good matchup at all. Plus, he has nobody around him. I mean, he's mostly just a spot up shooter. So, I mean, he's evolved a little bit, but he needs to get open looks from outside. Minnesota's already a good defensive team on the perimeter, and then you don't really have the guarantee of a Maxey getting him the ball, and you don't have the guarantee of somebody like Embiid demanding the defense's attention. So I'm a little bit worried about Oubre. I think two things. I think number one, I think I'm just going to lean towards the value for Philly a little bit. Oubre is a good play. He's a good play based off of the minutes and the projection probably that you're going to be seeing. But there's the blowout risk, and there's just the natural, the team around him is just not going to be as, palatable, as I would say. So I'm a little bit worried about him. But yeah, moving on here. Let's see. Oh, Grimes is questionable, you said?
Indeed.
Yeah. So just more and more bodies here, just dropping away from Philly. So I think I'm going to kind of lean towards the Doughton and such, whoever's going to be starting. The other thing was, of course, that if you're going to be playing some of this Philly value, whether it be Oubre or not, then you would feel a little bit better about playing an Ant and paying all the way up for him. And then it's just kind of like it was yesterday with SGA versus the Rockets value. That is one reason to feel a little bit better about that. Possibly, if those guys are going to get there, then obviously Ant would have a chance too. So shooting guard is not amazing after those top two guys. Like I said, De'Aaron Fox is okay. Jalen Green against the Pacers, that's fine. You mentioned Dyson Daniels. These guys are all okay. I think it starts getting exciting again, when you look at Pod and Oubre, if you want to do that. Beyond that, I think I want to try to save here. I'm probably going to just spend with Ant or Spida, and then I'll keep coming down here if we get a situation where somebody like Gary Trent at 4K is viable. You mentioned Cole Anthony is questionable. If he's in against the Raptors, 5K Cole Anthony sounds okay. Are there any other values at shooting guard that you have your eye on?
I don't mind Steph Castle or Devin Vassell. Devin Vassell's down to 5-6 against Brooklyn. Not a good matchup, but he's kind of come around from a shooting standpoint lately, and the price tag's pretty good. So I like that a little bit. And then Castle's kind of taken over the offense. Chris Paul's minutes have been down. Castle's have been up. He's getting a ton of usage. The minutes should be safe. The Spurs have nothing to play for with no Wemby. They might as well just see what Castle can do. So I'm optimistic that his recent minutes uptick is not a blip on the radar. So those two Spurs are on my radar on this slate. And I think DiVincenzo, again, is still okay at 5-5 given his usage off the bench.
I think Castle is really interesting. I don't like that Brooklyn plays slow. I don't like that he was questionable coming into the slate. And the 6.1 price tag is not amazing, but the recent production and usage is awesome. And also, he's not owned. So I really like the fact that he's not owned. And there you go. You have me interested in a late game hammer piece. Just like that. All right. Is there anybody else at shooting guard you want to touch on?
No, we are going very slow, so we should hurry up.
All right, here we go. At small forward, Franz Wagner leads the way. He looks like the best play from a raw points perspective. Josh Hart and Jimmy Butler also look good here. Paul George, questionable. Who you liking up top at small forward?
Wagner's okay. The price has come down. The matchup's decent. He's pretty boomer bust, it seems. The floor's pretty good, but the ceiling has been a bit elusive. I don't mind it. I think Hart's fine. Not exciting at 7-7. George, if he's in, maybe, but don't really want to do that given his questionable tag and the likely blowout. So probably another spot to save. Strus for the Cavs, shorthanded. Niang is back, still only 4-2. Vassell mentioned at the last position. Keldon Johnson gets usage for San Antonio. With Wemby out, he's 4,600. And then, Cam Johnson for 6-3 maybe is okay. And then Neesmith at 4-5. But pretty shitty position. I do like him in Thompson, like I said. Probably better play at this position than he is at point guard.
Yep, I would say so. Keep an eye on the Philly value, too, if Paul George is indeed out. Justin Edwards is also questionable. So we could be looking at Ricky Council season, something like that. Is Lonnie Walker small forward eligible, too, or just where did we miss him?
Shooting guard only.
Okay, that's never fun. So not sure what to think about that. Reza Shea, 4.8K. I don't love that Niang is back, so he's a little bit less appealing, but 32 minutes in each of his last 2 games. He's still in play for me due to the game environment. All right, over to power forward we go. Giannis is the best play at the position, best play of the slate, really. But he's 11K. So what are your thoughts there? Are you building around him, or do you think you want to drop down to the Cavs and or Ant?
I'm undecided. Like, it's kind of a scary fade, especially against Atlanta, who gives up tons of points in the paint. The minutes have come up a little bit. He's 11K, so he might still be a little underpriced. And then if Kuzma's out, he's going to get a boost. So Giannis looks great. I'm assuming there will be enough value to fit him comfortably, so maybe I will build around him in the end. But there is stuff elsewhere to like a decent amount. I think Randall, if he's in at 6'5", is a pretty good value. Wasn't really limited in his first game back. Naz Reid, he's expensive, but the role's still going to be there with Gobert out starting against this shorthanded Philly front court. He got 39 minutes in the last game. He shot the ball horribly, but the minutes are the main thing there, especially if Randall's out. He's going to be an awesome play. And then, Banchero, kind of the same thing as Wagner. Otherwise going cheap. I think Buzelis is a really good value as it stands, even against Cleveland, but Chicago has a handful of questionable guys in addition to Vooch and Io already being out. So his minutes could get pretty solidified, and he's cheap. So doesn't feel comfortable against the Cavs, but I do think he's a good cheap play.
Yeah, I love Buzelis. Nothing new to add there. I just think if the game does blow out, he's probably one of the guys that actually gets a little bit more burn. I don't see why you would keep sitting your rookie, even if the game gets out of hand. Nobody else really. Dylan Brooks at 4.7 in a positive game environment. Don't hate him for value. Moses Moody
Tari
too.
at the same, Tari's going to start with Van Vliet out, so 5'4".
Yep.
We've seen occasional stealing from him. I don't mind that.
Always love the power forward only for Tari and Buzelis here, but yeah, they look good for sure. I don't mind them at all. I agree with everything else you said too. Josh Hart, Naz Reid. Naz Reid looks really good if Randall's out. I think since Rudy's still out, you can still play Naz and he's fine. He looks good, but I think Julius being out would really cement him for me. All right, over at center, obviously you can use a lot of these guys over here. You can't use Cat at power forward. He is, I think, questionable. But he is 9.8 against the Warriors. Obviously, Warriors could always go small, but he would just eat them alive. So Cat looks really, really good here. He would probably be him or Ant would probably be the main reason to go away from Giannis if you want to. I think I am definitely team Giannis tonight, which probably will keep me away from Towns. And there's also good value here. So Towns looks great. If you want to play him at no ownership, no issue with that. There is Şengün. Like you said, Pacers are not good inside. So Şengün, after resting, he could be okay. Not really into him at that price. I think the first guy I'm going to, if I'm not playing Giannis at center, which why would you, this is going to be Jarrett Allen at 6.2K. My issue, and hopefully you can touch on a little bit here, is obviously great matchup, great price, no Evan Mobley. So everything looks good, but his minutes have been all over the place lately. So how comfortable are you in him despite the minutes being kind of wonky?
Not at all. I feel like if there's a chalk piece I'm going to get away from, it's probably him. I understand that Mobley's out and maybe in theory he gets more usage, but he's not really a usage guy to begin with. He's more of a putbacks, alley-oops, rebounding, shot blocking type of big. So he's okay, and the matchup's great. So that might be the tiebreaker, and certainly a fine play, but Center has a lot of opportunity cost. So I'm inclined to be under on him. I think a Kongwu at the exact same price is an amazing play against Milwaukee. Lopez will drag you away from the paint, so it's not necessarily ideal, but at the same price, if Allen's going to be mega chalk, a Kongwu is probably not going to be, and the minutes for him have been up lately. So happy to go back to the well with a Kongwu. Love the Towns play, still underpriced. He's questionable for personal reasons, so it's not like he's dealing with an injury, hopefully. So I feel okay with him if he's in. Miles Turner, similar thing, like low sixes, decent pivot away from Allen. You can still make a case for Zach Collins with Vooch out. And Randall at 6'5", another one in that range who looks pretty good at center.
Yeah, to be clear, the Bulls are a dream spot for centers. I mean, 30th in points in the paint, 29th in rebounding. But like you said, the minutes are all over the place. And right now, Jared Allen's pulling 41% ownership. Projects like a god. The price is good. No Mobley. Everything does look good. But can we trust those minutes? Is the game going to blow out? There's a lot of red flags there, in particular that ownership, to definitely at least think twice. Andre Drummond, 5K. Are we playing Andre Drummond even though he's coming in? Well, I guess he did not. He was 30% earlier in the day. His ownership did drop. Do you have interest there?
Yeah, it feels a little chasey. Like last night was very easily the best game of the season for him. But in the past, we've seen ceiling. He's actually played a bit better lately in general. So if you want to take a shot on that at 5K, I still don't mind it without Embiid. I'm inclined to not like it, though, especially if he's going to be owned. We'll see how it goes, but perfectly fine. Kind of neutral on it, I guess, overall.
All right, I think that about hits the main plays here. Let's wrap it up with our general strategy and flag plant of the night.
Yeah, I think the lineups are going to look way different by the time lock rolls around than they will right now, given all the news we're waiting on. But I do like Amen Thompson no matter what. Decent price, no Van Vliet, great matchup against Indiana, playing 40 minutes a game or so. Triple-double upside, not going to be very owned. Amen is my favorite way to get different on the entire slate as of now.
I don't really have a clear get different thing just yet. I just think Anthony Edwards, maybe that is it, because Anthony Edwards is only coming in 11% ownership, and if people are all going to flock to the Cavs guys, which by all means they're good plays, specifically at that same position, whether it be Garland or Spida at point guard and shooting guard, Edwards has less owned than them. He projects better than them. And he just has a massive ceiling with a massive usage rate. So I like him a lot. That's probably going to be my flag plant. And also, I'm going to be playing Philly value to some degree anyway, so I'm just not going to worry about the blowout thing. And he can definitely get there in 3/4 either way. The other thing is I am going to build around Giannis. Right now, I'm pairing Giannis and Anthony Edwards. And even though we don't know all the value that might be here when lock comes, it's not that hard to do. So we'll just have to adjust a little bit, but that is how I am starting out my build. Hopefully this helps you out. If it does, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and come join us in Discord, and we can talk shop and hopefully help you win some cash tonight. Thanks for watching, and good luck.